Hi, this is Professor Crisp, and I am the chair of the Health Professions Committee and a professor in the biology department. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about what kinds of course registration decisions you should be making for your first term as a pre-health student. I'm going to probably go through this fairly quickly, but as a video, feel free, to stop and pause and review any information that you think you might have missed. The first thing I want to go over is what should you do your first year as far as choosing courses. So for the pre-health, I want to set the stage here by saying for the pre-health student at St. Olaf, you're a liberal arts student. And liberal arts means you're going to be broadly trained. And so you're free to choose which healthcare art you'd like to practice as a career. I'm aware that most of you at this point, statistically speaking, are probably pre-med. Some of you will stay that course. Some of you will discover other areas within healthcare that you would prefer. And some of you already are thinking physical therapy or nursing or things like that. So I want you to know that we're here to support you, not to tell you what to do, certainly not to tell you what you can and can't do, but we're here to support you. My job as an advisor is to give you the information that you need and tell you what options are available so that you're empowered to make the best decisions you can for your career moving forward, and we'll just continue to support you like that. Pre-health students begin college with varying degrees of certainty about which career is best for them. You're going to have lots of experiences and opportunities to find out where you're going to make the biggest difference in healthcare. And there's also going to be challenges along the road. There's high expectations, high barrier, as far as what you need to achieve, the courses you need to take, the difficulty of those courses, all the experiences you need to have. So there's a lot to tackle there. All of this is going to affect the decision-making process. And we're here for you all the way. So the Health Professions Committee and the Piper Center, especially Katie Hughes, the pre-health coach over in the Piper Center, we're here for you to help you when these problems arise. And our ultimate goal is to support you as you pursue your goal. So what's it take to get into med school? Let's start with that. Students accepted in med school typically have GPAs 3.7 or better, and an MCAT score which is in the 510 to 515 region. Usually they've taken upper division science coursework that's well beyond what the MCAT requires. So you take the MCAT science courses, but then you go on and take other science courses too, like 300 level immunology and things like that, to show that you're ready to handle the first 2 years of rigorous coursework in medical school. So you'll notice if you look at the pre-med course list that the bulk of those science courses are your first and second year courses. They're all numbered 100 level and 200 level. Biochem's a 300 level, but they're all kind of early in your science career as a college student. And so taking upper division, senior level science coursework, 300 level extra science coursework, that's what it takes to demonstrate to the medical schools that you're ready for the graduate level science coursework that they're going to offer you. All right. They also expect 1 or more summers of research experience. They expect 200 plus hours of observation, shadowing, scribing, and so on. This is actually a broad range. It's not a checkbox number. I've seen it between 30 and 300 hours, depending on the person's experiences. Significant hours of sustained and meaningful volunteer service. And by sustained and meaningful, I'm especially referring to doing service to populations that are underserved by the healthcare system. So these are the populations that need the most service, that benefit the most from volunteering, and that's where you should focus your efforts. You want to ask yourself constantly who is underserved by the U.S. healthcare system, and that should give you some ideas of where you can start making a difference today and learning about the difference that needs to be made in the future when you're a healthcare professional. And these volunteer hours should be both inside and outside of a healthcare setting. If you do all of your volunteering inside a healthcare setting, the med schools are going to look at you and they're going to say, this person's just checking the boxes. They're just doing what they think they need to do to impress us. But if you show volunteering work that's both inside and outside of healthcare, then they're going to see that you're truly committed to service. And that's what it takes to be a physician. You have to be truly dedicated to volunteering, to serving others. Picture of what it takes to get into med school, that's not all that different from what it takes to be successful in other health professions also. I'm highlighting med school because I'm taking a wild guess here that the majority of the people watching this video are probably thinking, at least for now, medical school. All right, first thing you need to do course-wise, chemistry. Chemistry is a prerequisite for pretty much every pre-health program, physician assistant, dentistry, podiatry, medical school, and so on. It's also a prerequisite for a lot of biology coursework that you're going to need for these pre-health professions also. So, and because with respect to the pre-meds, you're going to actually take a sequence of 5 semesters of chemistry, I really want my pre-health students, whenever possible, including the future nursing majors, to begin their studies with chemistry. So at St. Olaf, for general chemistry, we actually have 4 options, and I know that's confusing. So let me try to break it down for you. I am going to split these options into 2 categories. In one category, the chemistry sequence includes a January course, and that means students who are taking great conversation or environmental conversation or other course sequences that require a class during the January term, those students cannot do this sequence. And then on the right side is the other category. I'm sorry, I just reversed my left and my right. Forgive me. On the right side are the courses that cannot be taken by students who are also taking something with a January course like Great Con or Environmental Con. On the left side are those courses that it really doesn't matter if you're in Great Con or Environmental Con because they have your January open. These chemistry sequences on the left side don't require a January course. Hopefully I didn't just take something confusing and make it worse, so just bear with me. So one option number 1 here, Chemistry 122. That's taken in the fall term. It meets 5 times a week. So basically there's a lab time, there's a discussion time, and then you have 3 lectures every single week. After you do that general chemistry 122 in the fall, you go into chemistry 126 in the spring just like everybody else. Chemistry 125 also meets in the fall, but only meets 3 times a week plus lab. So it doesn't have that discussion section, so it meets 1 less time per week. And again, at the end of that course, in the spring, you take 126 just like everybody else. So it's, and there's a placement test that'll help you select which of these routes is right for you. And please go with a placement test because the chemistry department has been wonderfully diligent in determining the statistics necessary to design a really good placement test that will be a great service to you as you try to decide what course is going to be the best starting point for you in general chemistry. All right, on to the 3-term programs that include a January course. Option number 3, Chemistry 121, is taken in the fall. It is designed like Chemistry 125, so no discussion section. It does have a lab, but it takes the 125 material and spreads it over the fall term and the January term. So it's 4 extra weeks long to cover that same material. So the pacing is a little gentler. So it's taught over fall and interim, January term. And then in the spring, you join Chemistry 126 with everybody else. And then the final option, number 4, is the Chubby program. Chubby is a 3-term sequence that essentially covers 1 year of general chemistry and a semester of cell biology. So for Chubby, you have to take all 3 courses, 125, 126, and 227. 126 is offered over January. As far as pacing, what I understand from students is this is a more aggressively paced course. So that's something to bear in mind. And that Chubby 227 course is really not very different from the Biology 227 cell biology course. So I strongly suggest you choose the chemistry course you placed into with the placement exam, and you should talk to me or your academic advisor if you place into something that would be a conflict with great conversation, for example. All right, so that's it for chemistry. Let's move on to math. Calculus is a prerequisite for chemistry 126 and for Chubby 126. So you're going to have to take chemistry or calculus this year too. You might place into Calc 1 or Calc 2 or Calc 1 with honors or Calc 2 with honors, and I don't care which calculus you take. It's going to be just fine. Just do the one that you're placed into. Once in a while, a student tells me that the math placement test feels like it placed them at too high a level. If you're really nervous about that, I'm okay with that too. If you say, well, I'm not sure I'm ready for honors Calc 2. I think I want regular Calc 2. That's fine. Just tell your academic advisor that's fine. I feel less wed to that recommendation than I do to the chemistry one. And then the other reason you need to take calculus is because a year of college math, which is often a year that includes a semester of statistics, but a year of college math is highly recommended for medical school. So many pre-health students are going to take calculus their first semester also. So most of you will end up taking a general chemistry course, maybe Chubby, maybe Chem 122, maybe Chem 121, maybe Chem 125 this fall, along with a calculus course. Maybe Calc 1, maybe Calc 2, maybe Calc 2 with honors, doesn't really matter. And so that's going to be your 2 major pre-health courses this fall. Other coursework, the rest of your first year is usually taken up largely by general education courses. And some of these you may be pre-registered for already, unless you're in a conversations program. In the spring, if you don't continue in math, because you can wait and take statistics later. So if you don't continue right away with math, you might have an opening, and that would be a great time to start your social science coursework for medical school preparation or for pre-health preparation. So basically, this is two categories of courses. The first is I'd like to see all my pre-health students take one or more courses on social structures and demographics, and one of these, or at least one of these, I think should be specifically addressing race and racism, as these factors have really significant consequences throughout our U.S. healthcare system. So some suitable courses that would give you an introduction to this way of thinking is Introduction to Sociology, Introduction to Cultural Anthropology, Race and Class in American Culture, or Medical Anthropology. These four courses in particular, I just talked to 15 of my current medical students at the University of Minnesota, and these are the four that they universally recommended as being most impactful, as courses that they look back now and say, wow, that really helped prepare me for medical school, for my clerkship, for my internship, uh, um, for residency, and so on and so forth. So four great classes. You don't have to take all of them, but I would like to see at least one of them addressed towards race and racism. All right. Now, traditionally, when you look at pre-med requirements for the MCAT, it's often going to say sociology is required. There is a little bit of sociology, like pure social theory, sociology theory on the MCAT, but there's not a heck of a lot. And the reason for putting that requirement on there in the first place was basically to encourage students to learn about inequities in the healthcare system. So that concerns us here. All right, and then the second social science course is a course on psychology. Now, our Psych 125 psychology course is really well aligned with the psychology on the MCAT. Now, some of you probably took AP Psych in school, and that's okay. If you took that in high school, um, I'd suggest developmental psychology because there is a little bit of developmental psychology on the MCAT that's not covered in Psych 125, but even more to the point, every allied health profession pretty much on the planet except for requires developmental psychology. It seems like only medical school doesn't require developmental psychology. So, all the if you're going to medical school, all the nurses you interact with, they'll all have had developmental psych. All the PAs you work with, they'll all have had developmental psych. Any OT or PT you consult with, they'll have had developmental psych. So I think that's a great next course. If you already feel confident in AP Psych and want to move on in psychology, Dev Psych is the next step, I think, logically for the pre-health professional. All right. While most pre-health students have a similar first year, calculus and chemistry being the bulk of it, and a social science course in the spring, the second year begins to look different depending on which career track a student wants to begin preparing for specifically. For this reason, it's very important that you begin getting exposure to healthcare workplace as a first year through shadowing opportunities and volunteering. The Piper Center can help you identify and prepare for experiences that are right for you. And remember that in the spring of your first year, you're going to have to register for courses for fall of your sophomore year. And so here's what some of those courses are going to look like. Now listen, you're going to go to Pre-Health 101, and I'm going to talk a lot more in detail about what you need to do for your second year then. So this is not the only time you're going to get this, I promise. But I just want you to have a preview. So if you're going to be preparing for medicine or dentistry or physician assistant schools or podiatry or physical therapy or occupational therapy, your next courses, your sophomore year in the sciences, are probably going to include Biology 150, that's our kind of classic general biology course, and cell biology, that's that Bio 227. Of course, if you took Chubby, you wouldn't need that because you've already had it. And then for everyone who's not, except for the PT and OT crowd, organic chemistry is going to be the next chemistry class you take there too. So that's what to expect during your sophomore year. For those of you who decide to apply for the nursing major, and I'll say more about that in a minute, your sophomore year is going to be taken up with anatomy and physiology, microbiology, some nursing programs. I think that where I wrote nursing there actually should be nutrition, so I apologize for that. Pathopharmacology, some more sociology and psychology. Nursing is very comprehensive, very holistic. It's truly an interdisciplinary science. And for that reason, it really emphasizes the humanistic elements, and you really take a lot more social science when you're preparing to study theory of care seriously. Med school is very focused on classic basic science, but nursing is focused comprehensively both on natural sciences and social sciences as well. So you're going to take quite a bit more sociology and psych if you're preparing for your nursing major. So that's what they should expect the sophomore year. Now, admission to the nursing major occurs during the interim of your sophomore year. The rest of you aren't going to declare a major until mid to late spring of your sophomore year. Because there's a really limited number of clinical rotations we can support, not everyone who applies is going to be admitted to the nursing program. So students who are not admitted to the undergraduate nursing program, they're really encouraged to complete another major. Biology would be a logical one, and to apply to a direct entry master's nursing program immediately after graduation. So I work with a small number of students every single year who decided to major in biology instead of nursing, and then go directly and get their master's in nursing right after they graduate. They do very, very well. It's a fine way to go, so we can talk about that too, and that should be a conversation that we have maybe in my Piper Center hours. So the pre-nursing courses that you would take to apply for the nursing major here, they're basically the same prerequisites as to get into the master program after you graduate. So you'll end up with your RN one way or the other. So it's if you don't get into that nursing program, the undergraduate nursing program here, but you still want to be a nurse, we will get you there. All right. And I know most of you are writing out a four-year plan already, which is fantastic. I was exactly that kind of student. So let's talk about four-year planning too, just for those of you who are thinking that far ahead. Basically, for a four-year plan, you're going to fill in the gaps of what I'm going to give below with required and recommended coursework. It's your responsibility to identify and fulfill the specific prerequisites for the schools you're going to apply to, because these vary from program to program. So for example, there's different prerequisites to get into different types of PA schools, physician assistant programs. And it's up to you to figure out, hey, I want to go to that school, so I need to look up the prerequisites and see what exactly is needed for that school. This also applies to medical school. Some med schools say you got to have a year of college calculus. I don't care if you placed in linear algebra, you got to have a year of college calculus. That's not very common, but they have the right to do that. So what I'm trying to do is prepare you for a broad range of schools, but you need to look when it gets close to the time to apply. You need to have a list of schools in front of you. You need to look up their specific prerequisites and see if they have something odd, and then work that into your schedule, and I can help you do that. All right, so for the four-year planners among you, if you're thinking medicine or podiatry, you're going to go on and take physics, biochemistry, physiology, statistics, psychology, and sociology. If you're thinking dentistry, you're going to do all that same coursework, but you're also going to do 3D art, something like ceramics. And for dentistry, you've also got to take 2 English composition courses. So you're going to take more English classes, more art classes if you're interested in dentistry. But so think of dentistry as being medicine plus English plus art. If you're looking at PA, PT, or OT, then you need to take a full year of anatomy and physiology. So at our school, that's Bio 143 and Bio 243. The pre-med students are only going to take 243, but PA, PT, and OT need to take 143 and 243. You're going to have to take that year of physics. You're going to have to take medical terminology. You're going to have to take psychology, typically. And it's quite a few psych courses. Usually you're going to take intro psych, developmental psych, and what used to be called abnormal psych, but is now called psychopathology. And then if you're looking at the nursing major or looking at not majoring in nursing but going on to nursing directly as a master's student, then if you're into the nursing major, your junior year and senior year, that's planned for you. You don't need to worry about that too much. You'll have to worry about the general education requirements, but all your nursing courses are planned out for you already, and your clinicals also. If you're looking at applying to the direct entry Master's Science Nursing type programs, then you're going to need to take statistics and medical terminology on top of the prerequisites to get into the nursing program. All right, as a liberal arts pre-health student, you need to fulfill distribution requirements, so we call this general education. In addition to your major and your pre-health coursework, the general education program is the core of the liberal arts education. It ensures that all students graduate broadly trained and knowledgeable. While many of these GE requirements will be completed as you take your pre-health courses and major requirements, some will not. Double majors and concentrations can make it more difficult to complete these categories of requirements. When your pre-health and and you do your pre-health requirements and your major requirements and your general education requirements, that ends up being a lot of course requirements. When you double major, it can actually make it harder for you to study abroad or to take upper division science coursework beyond the MCAT requirements. So for medical school, double majoring doesn't offer you any strategic advantage in applying to the schools. It doesn't really impress the admissions officers. If you really want to do it for you, because you as in love with chemistry as you are in Spanish, that's totally fine. You can do it for yourself, but understand that you need to think about the costs and benefits of doing the double major. The benefit has to be to you. That will not help you get into medical school. Incidentally, on that note, it doesn't matter what you major in if you're applying to medical school. They truly don't care what your major was. My top three categories of majors for my pre-med students who go on to medical school are biology and chemistry, which is not surprising since so much of the science overlaps with the medical sciences, but Spanish is a close third. So you can major in whatever you'd like. You don't need to worry about justifying it to anyone. You don't need a double major just to justify the fact that you really want to be a Norwegian major. You don't need a double major in chemistry to justify that. Major in whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. And just make sure you get your pre-health coursework done, your general education's done, and take some extra upper division science coursework to show that you can handle it. All right, so I will see you next at Pre-Health 101. You have to attend a session of Pre-Health 101 this fall. I'll offer it 3 times. Well, actually, I'm sorry, it's COVID season. Probably it'll be recorded and you can watch it whenever you want, but you got to watch it. It's going to have important advising and professional development information relevant to your first year and your second year. These workshops are usually offered 3 times in person in the fall. I'm also available for academic pre-health advising, and I have regular drop-in hours through the Piper Center in addition to my normal office hours. Katie Hughes is the pre-health coach over in the Piper Center. She and I work really well together. We work really closely together. Talk about you guys all the time. She's fantastic, really very supportive, very, very helpful, and she's available to help you with vocational discernment and professional development coaching, preparing for interviews, networking with alumni to find shadowing opportunities, all sorts of stuff like that. And so she holds regular drop-in hours too and is available for appointments through the Handshake program platform. Now, note that the workshops and office hours, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, will probably be virtual, so they'll probably be online. We will get you instructions on how to make those appointments, but just understand that. I'm sorry about that. I wish it was more personal. We'll try to do video calls at least whenever we can. It does not take the place of a good old-fashioned handshake. I look forward to meeting each of you and working with you as you pursue your pre-health goals. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime if you have any questions.